Hey team, toxic leadership, how to deal with it. Let's break into this subject, right? So I've had a couple conversations with several of y'all over the past 6 or 7 months about dealing with some form of toxicity in the workplace, right? Whether it's from a senior officer, an NCO, whatever it is, the feeling that there is some sort of partiality to the point or favoritism, or just something that is truly abrasive that's happening. And how do we deal with that? So I thought it'd be a good idea to have a little bit more of an extended conversation about this, right? So a couple disclaimers here, right? One, I think, and I'm not going to say that this applies to those that I've spoken with, or that it applies necessarily to you and your scenario. But I think in the broader spectrum of the conversation about toxic leadership, it appears to me that that word toxic means different things to different people. For example, right, I was in the shop actually this morning and had a couple dudes walking through with they're in PT uniform. It's after PT. And they walked in and they got beanies on their heads. So there's like 3 or 4 of these guys, and I stopped one and said, "Hey man, can you take your headgear off?" And he looked at me like I was some kind of a jerk face. And the other one did the same thing, and the third and the fourth one did the same thing, and the fifth one, he didn't have on a beanie, but he didn't have on his PPE, if you will, which is still required as of the time that this happened. So like, man, then get yourself right. We don't have the luxury of defining what is right. We don't have the luxury of defining rules, articles, and regulations. Like, we are enforcers of these things, not the ones who put ink to paper, if that makes sense, right? And I have no doubt that these individuals felt that I was being over the top, a little bit of brazen. And I never used any harsh language or anything. It was just a quick on-the-spot correction. But for some people, like, that would be defined as toxic leadership. And in my opinion, that is absolutely not toxic leadership. Holding somebody accountable and to the standard is not toxic. It is what we are called to do. So I'm cautious sometimes in how I use this word toxic leadership, because for me, from my perspective and my experience, this word is going to be more defined in ways, or through ways, that are unethical, illegal, immoral, by people who are directly or indirectly or supporting the violation of those rules, articles, and regulations, right? Especially something like 600-20, which defines our roles and responsibilities as officers, as non-commissioned officers, and how we treat other people with dignity and respect. And so if you find yourself in a situation that may be toxic by your definition or by what I just talked about, especially if it does violate the Uniform Code of Military Justice or any other local host nation or Army or DoD policy, then you have a duty and a responsibility to seek some guidance and some counsel, and maybe even to report what you're talking about. You could talk to EO, Sharp, IG, legal, your chain of command, your NCO support channel. Tons of folks, CID, medical providers, chaplain. There's tons of folks that you can talk to see if your perception is shared by others whose job it is to know these things deep in and deep out. But maybe it doesn't quite cross that line, right? What can we do? Maybe you're a junior NCO. Maybe you're a senior NCO. Maybe you're a promotable, right? Maybe you're brand new to the military. What can you do about these types of relationships that may or may not be toxic, but maybe they're a little abrasive? Maybe they're holding some people back in some ways that just doesn't, in your gut, feel right. Well, some of those same folks that we can go and report violations to, we can go have conversations with. And the chaplain is a great one, because what you talk to the chap about is confidential. Right? Hopefully you have somebody in your NCO support channel that you can have some of these hard conversations with. Maybe it's during a counseling session. Maybe you throw out an open-ended question just to get some feedback. Or maybe you can, pull your squad leader, your platoon sergeant aside, and just ask for a conversation to get some guidance and counsel and wisdom. Because I think sometimes when we approach some leaders, and it's through an actual lens of trying to broaden our vision, sometimes we just don't have that field of view, right? Our left and our right lateral limits are so narrow sometimes that all we need is a little assistance to help broaden so we can see the entire sector sketch and not just our own fighting position. Speaking of our own fighting position, man, the simple matter and act of being present for ourselves and doing the right thing, as well as what that does to impact those around us, is huge, man. And never downplay your role regardless of your rank, grade, or position. Being present, doing the right thing, demonstrating some initiative, especially in the absence of orders, and doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to get a reward from it. That's kind of like my view on the best weed control for a yard. You can go invest thousands of dollars trying to make a kick-ass yard, but truth be told, a little bit of time and water, make the grass grow, and that'll force out the weeds. It takes time, and too many times I think we don't have the patience for it. We want instant results. We want things timed now, and so we become impatient. And that impatience leads to poor decision making and to accepting things as real or actual that may not be. So if you're in some kind of a situation, man, I would just challenge and encourage you to know that you're not alone. You have people around you, I'm sure, who can strengthen and encourage one another. Whether that's you on the giving end or you on the receiving end, or there is an exchange of this happening. Sometimes it can be a hard challenge, because some folks just want to disengage from other people once things start to go sideways. But, a simple matter of pulling a battle buddy off to the side, especially if you're concerned about somebody, and just spending some time. Maybe it's heading off, finding some water, maybe it's playing a video game, whatever you and how you guys do you guys. That time is an investment that can't be replicated any other way. You hear it from folks, especially from kids who may have had parents who may have invested money, but were so busy doing other things they never invested time with their kids. And it's like, man, if I only had one thing, I don't care about the money, I just care about the time. Invest time in yourself and in one another. Continue to educate yourself on the humanities and how people exchange one another. There's plenty of books out there as far as how to learn more about just basic philosophy and the humanities, being present with one another, taking some action, standing up and doing the right thing, even if nobody else around you wants to, even if somebody may look down on you or look sideways at you for putting in a couple extra minutes at work, or not leaving early, or not cupcaking and lollipopping. That simple act, man, is huge. And not only does it impact your peers, but it also impacts your seniors as well. And definitely your subordinates if you have any. I'm afraid to say there's just not an easy answer, because every situation is going to be different. They're all unique. Your life and your walk is different from somebody else to your left and to your right, and it's certainly different from mine, and all of ours are different from each other. So our experiences may have a lot of shared commonalities in them, and there's going to be shared resources and opportunities and things to do. However, that doesn't mean that there's one easy answer. There's not an easy push button. I love watching dudes train, man. And it's certainly not easy to have an in-depth conversation, you know, whether it's via email or, you know, down in the comments below. But I'm definitely looking forward to y'all's thoughts and your opinions and your experiences. If you leave something down below, I think it'll not only be well received by myself, and I think it may encourage somebody else who may be going through something. Maybe it was some way that you demonstrated navigating this relationship at work or at home, whatever it was, right? It's just a couple thoughts, my friends. I hope that y'all are doing well. Again, man, make sure you leave some comments. Share this out with a battle buddy if you think it may be helpful to them, because no man is an island. Team, you got this. You stay out there, you keep grinding, stay stoked.